So before starting, we have some requisites like that you need before even thinking of applying for like anywhere for any position. Then first thing is, so Europe, there's a difference, stark difference between US and Europe applications. In US, you have 2 year, 1.5, 2 years coursework in which like you explore, you work with different groups, and you have a like you get a sense of what topic you want to pursue. But in Europe, there is a predefined topic, there's a predefined grant for a specific field for which the position is there. So you need to know beforehand what is your topic of interest, at least a general sense. Like you can know the field. Like for example, you can have like I was confused whether I want to work in quantum information or quantum thermodynamics or quantum optics. All of these things were like fascinating to me. So I chose a field which I could say like like quantum physics or condensed matter physics for that matter. So like you can look for people in these fields, and then if you see what are the positions openings on particular topics, and if that particular topic interests you. So this is important for Europe. Then like one other important thing is like email format. So keep in handy but small, like very concise email. Don't make it bulky, because like it's a rule of thumb actually, no one is going to read long emails, and they don't have time, basically the supervisors, potential supervisors. So keep it concise. What are your research interests, what, like in 1 or 2 lines, whom you have worked with, what, how you are driven for that particular position. So that's there. Then leave room, yeah, so like leave room for one paragraph which will help you tailor the email according to the prof or the specific position. So that is important, because you cannot send a generic email to everyone for everything. Some positions may be in condensed matter, some may be in on borderline between quantum info and condensed matter. So you have to tailor it accordingly. So that's really important. Then you need to have a, I would say like I prefer short and concise, on point CVs, basically at max 2 pages, and it should contain all the relevant information. Like you should not miss on anything which will help you elevate your application over others who are also applying for the same thing. So you put your research interest, your coursework is also like should be there. Then what all projects you have worked on, research projects. Then achievements are important, because like they show that you are into other things, and what all achievements academically also that you have. So all these are relevant information. Keep these, and then whatever else you think will give you an edge over others. Then most of the, I think almost 99% of the applications that I applied to needed a motivation letter or a cover letter or an SOP. Like, so SOP, according to me, SOPs are something which are more like which have more information. They can be for 2 pages or like around that. But like again, this is my opinion. Like people can correct me. So motivation letter, cover letter, I believe should be of 1 page, and they should convey the point that you are really interested in the position, your background, like how you can help the professor work in that field by your uh, maybe like for example your coding background, computational background, how that can come handy, and all that. So that's important. Uh, so these 4 things. Then also, if you get onto the next rounds, then sometimes some positions they ask for this thing, uh, a presentation, a short presentation on your work. So that is later part, but like if you can prepare that, that should be on one of your projects. So preferably your master's thesis. Like people ask what you have done in your master's thesis. So that is also important. Try to keep some good results in your thesis if you can, because that really helps you in your application. Then once you have prepared all the documents, what next you should do? So you should start looking for potential supervisors. I mean, that is one of the most important things. Now everyone asks me like, how do you look for someone? So it's like you are reading papers during your master's thesis, and you come across the authors' names who have written those papers. So like they are good people if they have such good papers. Like you have to look for that. Then you also see region wise. Like for example, Austria has a good hub of quantum technologies. Then Oslo has some good people, so you look according to the regions. Germany has a good circle. So like you see region wise and you search like quantum information, search for keywords. You'll see people, you'll see papers. So go according to that. Then university wise, like what are the famous universities? Then you can see the departments there. Then departments say you can go to the individual group pages or the pages of the professors. There you can see if there are any openings you can apply. So mostly they have uh, like written that they need a CV, a motivation letter, or something else. Like they mention it there, and then you email it to them. So that is there. Yeah. So look for pages. Then another important thing is, though it is optional, like from my point of view, like many places they say that English proficiency exam is optional. So you should not give it. No, I think you should, because first of all, if you are also applying to US, there it is a must. So you need to have at least IELTS or TOEFL for that. So I would highly recommend you to give English proficiency exams. Like they say that if you get a letter from your university saying that your curriculum was in English, that is sufficient. But even like if you have a good TOEFL score or IELTS score, then it gives a upper edge to your application, I would say. Then yeah, what is the timeline? So in October, November, I would say please be done by your English exams, because deadlines for applications for US applications is December. So you need to have your score before that. Then okay, let's categorize. There are majorly two kinds of applications in Europe. So one is UK and similar applications. Like if someone can fill in what all other places are similar in this sense. So they you have to apply to their university portals. Like for example, uh, I'll talk about Cambridge because I applied for that. So in Cambridge, they have like there's Department of Applied Mathematics and Theoretical Physics, DAMTP, and then there is physics, and then there is applied math. So there are different departments. You have to apply through like you look at the profs which interests you and which department they belong to. Then you have to apply to that particular department. You go through the whole application, and when you fill that application, so by default you are eligible for their department scholarships, university scholarships. Like university, I think you have to apply separately. Gates for Cambridge, Rhodes for Oxford. But department scholarships, you if you fill in the application, you are by default applying for these also. But again, these are highly competitive. So like there's very almost practically nil chance of getting it. But yeah, luck is always a favor. Next, then there are, what can you do? How can you study here? So you have other global scholarships that you can apply through. Just search in Google, like you'll get hundreds of them. Some really good ones, so you can go through them. And there are also some positions which are for which the professor has already like received a grant, and he's like releasing that position. Ki, I want someone to fill in here. But what I have seen is mostly these are for UK students only, local students. But yeah, there are chances that they are taking international students as well. So look for them. Then rest of the Europe, I think, like for example, Austria, Germany. Then you have Netherlands, uh, Spain, and like other places, they work differently. Like you have to follow a lot of things. Like for example, I subscribe to some like 8 to 10 mailing lists, and I follow them for 2 3 months every day almost. And that's how like you get to know what where you can apply, what are the good places. You follow their websites, then like this is a heavy, like this is a time taking process. You have to go through this. Then for example, there's quantity is there. So again, my field of interest is quantum, so I'll be talking about stuff which is related to quantum only. So quantity is there, which has almost all quantum information, quantum optics, quantum technologies related positions, and it keeps on updating. Then you have mailing lists such as Quantum Foundations. Then positions are released constantly, like continuously. So you have to keep looking for them, and until you are successful, like you keep on looking. There's no end to this. Then there are you can look for fellowships and scholarships. There's your access. Then there are Marie Curie funded fundings. For example, there's co-fund, there's Horizon. So all these are there. So these are some snippets that I just took, and this is like the interface for Quantiki. You see that they have everything there. They have a search feature. You can search for a particular keyword that you are interested in. You'll get positions related to that. Then you have for quantum thermodynamics, you have QTD. Then Zurich, Basel, the Switzerland region, they have their quantum science and technology (QSIT). There also they keep on telling about open positions. So like you have to look out for all these. Then for scholarships and all, you have your access. So this your access is like a, I would say, a bible, because almost every position in every field of science in Europe is listed here. So it's a must to keep on following this. Then there are Marie Curie positions. Like I said, my position is also Marie Curie funded. So there's one snippet of this. This is Horizon MSCA, which is open right now. So you can look at this. Deadline is 16 November 2021. So this you can look for. Then there are also some positions which are already funded. As I said, the supervisor may have a grant, or the institute has a co-fund kind of a scheme. Like, for example, if you look here, this is from the Euraccess, a snippet from the Euraccess portal. If you look for quantum and physics, then you see that at ETH Zurich, they have this Marie Curie funded position. So ETH and Marie Curie, they kind of came together and released this position in the field chemistry, physics, and engineering. So, like, I mean, this is how you go for it. I think Anshuman will be elaborating much more on this. So I'm just giving you an introduction. And yeah, so you need to apply for a scholarship separately also for some positions. And this is a broad like outline of what all needs to be done before you start applying and how you apply. So if you have any further questions, you can contact me at my email ID anubhavksri98@gmail.com. And thank you.
Thanks a lot, Anubhav. So are there any questions at this point, or we can go ahead to Anshuman, who will also speak about like maybe some astronomy related um, positions.
Hi, Anubhav. Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that when we are sending the first email to a prof, like what do we include? Like, do we include our SOP also, or do we just like send the CV and the an email?
Okay, so the thing is, first I would suggest to look at the web page, the group page of the prof that you are going to write the email. There, if he has mentioned that he has open positions and his interested candidates may send their CV slash SOP, like if it is mentioned, then go according to that. But if it is not mentioned, then I would say refrain from sending. Uh, Yeah, long emails. So you don't have to send long emails. Concise emails with. I mean, it actually depends person to person. What I do is I send my CV first, and I don't send the motivation letter in the first email. And if the prof initiates like like continues the conversation, or like he sends a, like if he wants something else, then I send my motivation letter. I mean, that's my way of going about it. Others may work differently.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Mm. So Anshuman, maybe you can begin now.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, like to answer the previous question, Anubhav is actually right. Like you don't SOP framed for a professor who doesn't even reply. So it's better for first if they do reply, and then you can start off with that. Yeah. So I hope my first slide is visible now.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Go ahead.
Yeah. So like I would obviously have a bit of a biased perspective because I was only applying for astrophysics positions. So if I had to pick one topic that I would maybe because it is unique to astrophysics. So I'll start off. Like firstly, whatever Anubhav said, like you need to be aware about your interests. What exactly do you want to work on, or if you have any broad set of ideas, like these fields are where I want to work on. So based on that, you will basically be listing out your experiences because you want to showcase your experiences to be leading to a natural progression into the field that you're interested in, and accordingly you will frame your CV because you want to show that based on your interest and your experiences, why the person should hire you, because your CV is basically where you are pitching yourself like maybe like a startup to or a product to the professor to hire you. A big thing that a lot of students actually have a confusion about is scouting for places, like which universities to apply for. Like we don't know that many new universities, like when we start out with, like maybe we know a few, but those are usually the most famous and the most competitive ones, or the ones which just have very good media outreach. So firstly, like for in my case, for example, often I had emailed people beforehand, like for internships and everything, and a lot of them said no. But the fact that they did reply showcased that maybe in the future, if like they are responsive people, so I started out with emailing those people first. Next, I was also like looking at, say, any news or any articles related to recent research in astronomy. And obviously, if I found something on archive which was interesting, and if the, like Anubhav said, that if it's a paper that seems interesting and they are doing good work, then they are good people to approach. And when nothing works, the rankings come into help. I'm not saying that you need to look at the ranks itself, but they give you a list of names basically. Like these are the universities that are there in Europe. Like you put the filter for Europe by after going to the subject rankings of physics and astronomy on QS, and then you can basically look at the different places and see what exactly is the research being done there. Like for example, if you go and look at University of Hamburg, and you can just go through the faculty profiles and see what are they actually doing, so that you know that, okay, do I want to apply to this place, do I want to apply to these particular people, or it is something that I can give a miss. Something recently that I found interesting was because of not something that I'd used, but was Twitter. If you follow a bunch of people who are in your subject, uh, the algorithm will be recommending more and more people, and then after that, once you have a bunch of people that are say in your area of research and are active on Twitter, they sometimes also post about jobs on Twitter itself as well. And specifically for astro people, there is the American Astronomical Society job register. This is something that you should keep checking every now and then, because often the jobs posted here are actually in for Europe, because Europe is the one which has which posts specific jobs for specific projects rather than the application to university system that the US has. So you would often find positions being listed here, and this would be actually be the very first place that they get listed for astronomy related projects. astronomy, exoplanetology, or maybe cosmology, even maybe the theoretical side of things to a certain extent. So that's something interesting. And the way that I first that actually gave me a bunch of places that I didn't even know existed. Like, say for example, the Max Planck Institute for Radio Astronomy. I was not aware of that in say my third year or fourth year, but that's when I looked it up, I was able to find it. So you can do that, or you can also look for seniors on social media like us, or even the senior batches before us, and see where exactly they are. Lastly, something that I have like recently started doing is by looking at conferences. Like, there are invited talks that active researchers give, and you can actually keep track of at least who are the people who are giving these talks. Um, Maybe if you want, I can share this link later. It is basically a place where you can keep track of upcoming conferences. Next, after having a list of universities and maybe institutes to apply for, the next is basically to see how is their process. Some places have rigid deadlines and applications to universities or institutes, like the IMPRS of Max Planck's, where you apply for, you have a proper application form where you mention that you're interested to work with such and such people, and then you apply. While others have rolling applications, in the sense that whenever there's a project and there is a position open, it comes up and it is given out. Um, Also, like deadlines can vary quite a bit, in the sense from subject to subject, from institute to institute, and even country to country. For example, for Italy, the physics and astronomy positions are open very late, like for the university related ones. Um, and then obviously, like you, if you are going to be applying to projects directly, some places like say some places in the UK, or even in the Netherlands, like Leiden University, list out the available projects. Uh, and then you can choose from them, or you can ask that, okay, you can email the professor that I'm interested in this project and I want to talk to you about it. Or there are other places like the Max Plans again, which do not list out the projects, but they do list out the list of people who can become potential guides. So you have to reach out to them and figure out if they have any open positions in the upcoming year. And lastly, if you're really confused and you're not finding the answers, then they will have a contact mentioned, and it is actually really helpful to email them well in advance and just ask about it. Like, there's no need to be shy about that. And yeah, like Anubhav mentioned, the email should be crisp and to the point. And if you want, you can actually fix a Zoom meeting as well to discuss further. Like, if you feel that you're not able to explain yourself in a email, then you can go ahead with it. And you can send a reminder as well after a week or so of not receiving a reply. Like, that has actually worked sometimes for me. Um, and do ask about funding. Like, do not be shy about it. Don't think that they'll think that you are only in it for the money. And because funding is important, you're going to be working for someone for 3 to 4 years at least, and you need to be paid. uh, the DAD PhD research grant has a very early deadline, that is October 20th. So for that, it's best to start approaching people now itself if you're interested to apply for the DAD PhD grant. And Anubhav has already mentioned about the Marie Curie fellowships. So keeping track of them on the EuroAccess website is quite important. But remember that they will be topic or university specific, and thus it may be the case that maybe you are interested in something and they do not have a Marie Curie fellowship for that. So in that case, it's best to ask the professor about his suggestions about the same. Like, for example, I've just listed a very brief email, like you introduce yourself and what degree you are doing, and you mention why you're contacting them, that you plan to apply for a PhD at such and such university or institute, or you're seeking a PhD position, and you came across the work and thought to reach out to them. You can briefly list your research experiences, maybe like 2-3 points, about a sentence each, and you can mention that you thus reached out to them to discuss about say writing the statement of purpose, or you want to if the project is listed, you wanted to uh, have a discussion about this anything specific that you need to highlight in your motivation letter. or if they have any suggestions as such for applicants to improve their applications. And yeah, you have to attach your CV and not maybe the motivation letter right away, because you should look for their suggestions before and see if they're responsive before going ahead and writing the motivation letter or the statement of purpose itself. Another question that pops up is how many places to apply to be like 1, 5, or 10. Like people really don't know. I would say that it depends, because sometimes we are often applying to many different places, many different countries. So you try to keep it broad in the sense that you apply to multiple places of multiple selectivities and across multiple countries, because that at least gives you a bunch of probabilities which should lead to finally getting you a position. And in case it doesn't work out, don't panic, because like I mentioned, Italian universities start very late, and there are other universities like in France. They have applications which open in February or March, and there are also places which have multiple calls for applications, like the Max Planck Institute for Physics, which calls for applications thrice a year. I think the most recent is September, but that is basically for the batch that has already graduated by now. My own experience was that I applied to the IMPRS for astrophysics at Munich, IMPRS for cosmic physics at Heidelberg, Oxford in the UK, Leiden in the Netherlands, University of Zurich in Switzerland, which I opted out because I had already gotten decent responses, and University of Groningen, I had applied for a specific project, but I did not go ahead with it because of already receiving a better offer. So here at Munich, I had emailed about 6 people and then finalized upon 2 of them. Like those are the people who interviewed me. And at Heidelberg, I had emailed about 8 people, and again, about 2 of them were whom I talked to. At Oxford, I had emailed 5 people, and I had interviews by all 5 of them. And Oxford also has a separate interview where they give you a paper to read, and then they ask you questions about it. Uh, but yeah, like that didn't work out because of funding issues. That's okay. In Leiden, I actually didn't email anyone, but it's good if you email a few people beforehand so you know what you're applying for. And but again, after the shortlisting, they do give a list out of projects and mention which people are interested to interview you. And thus, I ended up getting interviewed by 4 people. Again, University of Zurich, I didn't email anyone. I just applied and just ignored it after that. In applications, like before you jump in to fill the application, I would just suggest that you list out your coursework, like at least in physics. Like you mentioned that this is this like for say solid state physics, and I received a grade of say A or a B or whatever. And you list all those courses out, because they some applications want you to manually fill those in uh, uh, with the grade mentioned, apart from submitting a transcript itself. It is annoying, and that's why it's good to have it somewhere saved from beforehand. And then list out the people you have talked to. Like they often applications ask that, do you have any specific projects in mind, or have you talked to some specific people beforehand? So you can mention that. And for recommendations, typically they need to need, I think so, 3 recommendations, but some places may agree for 2 as well. But give your recommendees like some time, like about 3 to 4 weeks is good. And obviously, like your MS thesis may not have results at the time of application, especially if the application is early, say October or November. And but by that time, if you have the abstract ready and you know what's the general format, then you can frame that and discuss with your guide to actually submit the abstract at least, because then they know what your most recent experience is going to be. And yeah, like if your application doesn't make the shortlist, like for the next round, say for interviews and presentations or whatever, or if you just get rejected, then it is fine. You do not need to panic. The rejections will be the norm. Most places that we apply to, we may get rejected from. Uh, but there are obviously more places you can hear from later on, or you can apply to. So just like it's not something to panic about. And if you did make the cut, like Anubhav mentioned, you have to present something of one of your internship projects. So do read your projects, like even the ones that you're not going to present about, so that you know what exactly you did, because they will ask you questions about what did you do in this project, what was the key findings, what did you learn, what are the skills you gained from that, and how exactly does it connect to the project that they are offering. And if you need, you can actually arrange meetings with your past internship guides, like say that, okay, I want to have a Zoom meeting, we can discuss about what we did and everything, just so that you have a better idea before jumping into a presentation. And lastly, like, you can make a presentation on the project you want to highlight and you are most confident about. Some places will tell you that it should ideally be your master's thesis project, and in that case, sometimes you may not feel fully confident, but do list out the things that you have done so far, and maybe showcase how it connects with your interests and your future plans for your PhD. But yeah, if you are more confident about an internship project and it does allow you to present that, then go ahead with that. And yeah, like, it's I guess I should wind up now. And like, it is going to be stressful and overwhelming as well. Like, we were as well in this position last year. We were quite clueless. We didn't know what to do next. But keep looking out for opportunities. And if you have faced rejections, it is all right. You just need to ensure that you're giving it your best. And if you need any help, obviously we are here for you. Uh, you can reach out to me, like, almost anywhere on WhatsApp, email, Twitter, or on my website. I can share these links later if it's necessary. So we can,
Great. So we will
yeah.
have more questions now. Anyone with questions to Anshuman, please go ahead. So we will have Karthik, who speaks for a bit after this. So is Karthik here? You could share your slide. In the meanwhile, anyone can ask questions to Anshuman.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah,
Hello?
we can.
Okay. So I will
Okay,
just
you can go
cover.
ahead.
So are there any questions?
Maybe not.
Okay.
Go ahead, Karthik.
Okay, so I will be like mainly focusing on like PhD position in Germany and Nordic countries. So like the general question is like when should we apply and like how to find supervisor and like which universities should we choose. So the first thing is like you should keep track of like the different programs like Anubhav has mentioned, like you in UK you have Cambridge, Oxford, so you have to keep track, and generally deadline is like 15 December, and like you have to like keep track of them. So for the German universities, like there is like a program like for applying Max Planck, you have IMPRS program, so where you can like apply it biannually, like twice a month, twice a year. So and the good thing is like they don't require TOEFL or GRE. It's good if you have TOEFL, but like it's not necessary. And it's always good if you contact your like the potential supervisor first before applying. Like the case with me was like I applied there, the interview or everything went well, but the supervisor don't take the PhD student. So it was like weird case. So I again have to apply to some other supervisor and do this thing again. So you have to like keep like it's always good if you just contact your supervisor before applying. So like you can also clarify like the what that topic means and everything. So and like the for the Max Planck, the things are very pretty clear that you have like you apply and they will take some sets of interviews. So in that interviews they are also going to ask about your research work, as they like they may ask you like to present your master thesis or your internship. So it's good if you have like already pre-planned presentation or something, like some idea which you can present them and say. And the other sets of round may include like asking simple physics questions, and in the final they will just present you what the work they are doing. Like they will be working on like something new. Like for example, when I applied to Max Planck, I listed my research interest as topological superconductors and all these things. But like what I found out was like they have changed their research area to something else. So they will like introduce you to like what they are working now, and they will ask you whether you want to work on this topic or not. So it's also good if you like interact with them, like like you will also get some idea like what the way the physics is progressing. And like if you make more, like if you write more application, if you apply somewhere else, you can also mention like I have talked to this guy, and like I have this research idea, and like you can also go like this also. So also one thing is like if you are like new, like your master thesis like something new, like it's happening something new, so you may apply a little late. So but like there are only few places like which will allow you to like apply late. Like for example, Max Planck you can like apply in April also, but you can also apply in October also. So when you are halfway your thesis, you know what is your like research content, you know what are you doing. So you know like the person, like you will like read paper, and there will be some research paper when, and you will see those research paper, and like you will be like wow, like I would like to be like part of this research and everything. So it's good if you read those research paper and like list out like what are the good people like who are working in your field. And sometimes like you are doing your project, and like you will get some result, and your supervisor, like your current supervisor will say okay, match do this result match with this guy or this group. So you will also get idea like who are the trusted people in the physics, who are like, if you're like, if your supervisor is like recommending to match the your readings or your measurement with someone, then it is like that group or that person is like a good person. So you can also like ask that people for the like PhD position and all. And you can, it's better if you also ask to your master thesis supervisor like what are your research interests. Like it may be also like your research interest is in quantum, but your supervisor works on statistical physics. So you can ask like okay, I want to do quantum, then he can also like ask his friends and colleagues to like guide you and do this thing. So this was case with me. So I asked my supervisor like my interest is in quantum. Then he said me with some people, and like I asked them like what to do and what to not do. And like this is like to what I will say is like you interact with more and more people, and you will get like better idea like what research project you want to do. And like especially the condensed matter physics is a thing which the hot topic always change every decade. Like for example, like 20 decades earlier, like people were working on graphene, then they were started doing topological superconductor, and they like progress like this. So the hot topic always is keeps changing, so you have to like keep track of like what is the new thing going around. So and so once you find out like what are the people and what are the things, so you can write them like personal emails, or maybe if I call them like semi formal emails. So so you find a professor, you drop them email, and they will like do some interview, and like they will offer the letter. So this is the thing. So and the email should be like, as Anubhav and Anshuman has also said, like the email content should be very small. It shouldn't be like big paragraphs going around, like, and like it should be very concise and like to the point. For example, like I have like I mailed some guy, and like I just listed what. So like in your introduction type, you can like mention what are your like the good things about you. Like for example, like if your supervisor is like well known to community, you can directly start with like okay, I'm working with this guy, and like I have CPA of this person, so I want to apply. So you just uh, you just show you what are your merits, and then you just start with like I want to like I saw your work here and there, like I wanted to like do this thing and like that. And this will go along. So what all I will say is like keep it concise, and like Anubhav said, like you don't have always have to like send SOP cover letter along with your email. You just need to attach your CV. If they ask you specially like give your statement of purpose and everything, then you should give it. Otherwise it's of no use. And choice of university, like it may also depend on your like passion and like the place you want to live. For example, if you want to like if you enjoy living in Nordic countries, like where they have this green lights and everything, so you may apply there. So these institute programs have this. They will ask for TOEFL exam there. It is necessary there, and they will take interviews. And like you don't have to apply for separate scholarship there. They will like which with their PhD position they will also grant you some scholarship with it. And for example, I applied to a university in Denmark and Aarhus University. So I applied there, and they also gave me the scholarship, some Carlsberg scholarship, and it's like the Inspire scholarship of India. Like in India, like if your Inspire scholarship, you can become Inspire scholar, Inspire fellow, and then you can Inspire faculty. So in with the Carlsberg scholarship, it's like same. You can do a master with that scholarship. You can like if you do just more than average with that scholarship, you will get promoted to do PhD there and become professor there. But like the demerit of this is that you have to like stay there for a long time. Like it will be a long journey for you. Like you cannot because like if you are in some like maybe like good university in Nordic country, then it might not be recognized in India. For example, if I say what is RS University, you may not know what is this country. But like if you want to like settle in those country Nordic countries, so you may like want to take this. So what I want to say is like the choice of university, like you also should plan your future with this what are the like if you go to blah blah university, what reputation it has, and like if you come to India again, like if you want to like settle in future in India, then what are the merits? For example, like we were ruled by for the 200 years, and like if you apply again, if you apply for professorship in India again, and if you just mention like you are from Oxford or Cambridge, then it will have impression that you are a good person. So I want to say conveys like university rank also matters sometimes, and sometimes doesn't. So it also depends on like what career path you are choosing. So yeah, that's all.
Thanks a lot, Karthik. So we do have one more speaker. Abhishek Purohit will speak a bit about industrial PhD opportunities. But before that, we'll pause for a little bit if you have questions at this point. So anyone with questions? Okay. Abhishek, maybe you can go ahead. You're muted.
Am I audible now?
Yeah. Please.
Yeah. So my friends have told everything about applying in PhD for a university. So I'm gonna speak something. I'll keep it brief about industrial PhD. So apart from these mainstream PhDs, there are companies who have open positions in PhD, like Volkswagen. And I'll specifically tell about Europe where I applied. IBM. Then there's Fortune Zurich, and then there's I guess Rodent Schwarz, Bosch. These are all companies that have various open positions in PhD. And for my case, it was since the domain was quantum, the positions. These companies are new exploring quantum, so they want PhD positions. Now the difference between applying there and here is. In this case, you don't have to apply like mail them. They have their portals. You have to upload your one by one over there, and then you have to make a CV over there. In most of these places, you have to make your CV over there. So what you have written in your CV, you have to add it one by one over there. So it's a long process. And so the benefits of applying in these places are like I always have enjoyed a more practical, I mean not practical, I mean applied physics. So it gives you a hand on experience on what your science is helping in. Called Quantum Flagship. So I got my PhD through that. So there are various PhD positions open. So in this case, for industrial PhDs, you need to have a LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a must because they specifically have a column where you have to put your LinkedIn link, profile link. So for applying that, you have, like I said, fill up all the details, and what they look for there is your skills. So they have a column where you have to enter skills manually. So look for the job description. This applies for both normal PhD and industrial PhD. For you have to look for the job offer, I mean job advertisement, and they have they have mentioned there's the skills they require. So these are what you have to tally with what skills you have, and if they tally, they match, then you have a good chance. And so then you apply for it, and then you receive. It's not like in general PhD offers where you don't receive sometimes the mail back from professors. Here you just receive that your application has been registered. And after that, the interview process. Now the interview process is bit different. So here, like here the general PhD of positions, they ask you to prepare a presentation for some topics what that is relevant to them. But in industrial PhD, what they do is they'll give you a time of like around 20 minutes, and they'll say present everything that you have done in around 20 minutes. So it's all, and it always comes in handy. So if you have an interview or Zoom call with any professor, and if somebody asks what have you done, you just can't talk, just can't talk about it because you're in science, so you just can't talk about it. So it's already always handy to keep a presentation ready every time, be it normal PhD or industrial PhD. And then there are usually two rounds there in industrial PhD. One where the scientist there's a technical round where the scientists and a group of other people who will be interviewing you. And the second is the HR round. In HR round, there's the HR and along with some scientists of the company. So there they'll ask you, in PhDs, normal PhDs, they'll see that what can you bring to their lab, and they need certain skill sets that you can fill. Suppose if you have experience in RF, and the bigger project needs someone who has some experience with radio frequencies, or let's say quantum optics, so they'll get you in. In here they'll ask you, I receive this question every time: how many people are there in your lab, and how many people are there in your master project, and is this a group this is a collaborative master project, or are you independently working on it? So they'll always ask you the question: are you able to work independently or not? So yes, of course you have to say you can work independently, because there won't be any PI who will be looking after you, and there will be someone, I think some senior, of course, in every industrial PhDs. So basically, these are of two kinds. Recently, most of the university like ETH, URIC, and everyone, they're partnering with various companies for industrial PhD positions. So there you have to like keep a balance of that you are able to work with a group, as well as you're completely able to work independently. So basically that comes in handy, and I'll suggest modify your application for every place you apply, because every job needs a certain set of skill sets, and they'll be specifically looking for that. And in bigger companies, they have their automated systems where they'll be just looking for those keywords, and then that's the first screening that's been done. So it's very important while you make a CV, while you make a SOP, that you mention the skill sets that at least you have, or during your coursework you have taken. And that's all. That's all, because rest of the people have said most of the things. So places you can look for is, like in quantum, at least I can tell you: Volkswagen, JP Morgan, Roden Shores, Bosch, Fujitsu Jülich, Mitsubishi, Fraunhofer Institute. In Germany, Fraunhofer Institutes are very reputed institutes who have who do a lot of work on industrial applications. So, and Leibniz University has recently started doing that also. since my institute. And that's all. That's all from my side.
Thanks a lot, Abhishek. I think this information is new to many of us, and uh, yeah, I think the juniors will really benefit. Okay, so we are done with most of what we want to say. We have time for questions. Please, like, ask us anything you want. No questions. Probably a lot of information to take in, but um, you can. I'm sure, like, we'll try to record. We'll try to post what we've recorded to all of you. You can have a look back when you need. But yeah, anything on your mind that you want addressed right now, please feel free to ask.
There's one thing, like one comment I would like to say. Anshuman has made it very clear that you will get rejections, and
Yeah,
yeah, that's gonna be really, really hard. Uh, but the thing is, you have to keep on applying. Just like keep them
yeah,
in background. Just forget about them. Just keep
yeah,
on applying because that's how you can overcome this. There's no
That's the
other.
golden rule.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the people who are speaking to you now have received the maximum number of rejections out of probably all of us. So I would like to suggest something that I've been saying in the other sessions also, which is basically that even though European PhDs tend to be more specific towards a project and a field, do not let that discourage you from applying. If you're interested in something, do apply for it. It might be possible that you don't have the expertise required for you to get the position, but you don't decide that. Let the people who you've applied to decide that. So yeah, so make sure you apply to anything you find interesting. If you don't have background for it, they will tell you. So like you don't have to assume that for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
As
so
they say, don't self-reject.
yeah, don't self-reject. True. So yeah, so I'll just add that I mean, by the time you finish your PhD application journey, you'll be a changed person.
You will be a changed person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust us.
So yeah, so I mean, one thing that I would like to request all of you is to send me or Shashank any feedback that you have regarding these sessions. So because we are also trying to put up sessions for India and the USA, so we might incorporate your suggestions in those sessions. Your suggestions in those sessions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so yeah, tomorrow we have our India session. So we'll send the relevant information very soon through the IISER Mohali email. So stay tuned. Yeah, and don't underestimate India. Please do come to the sessions
Do not
tomorrow.
underestimate India. Trust me. You are free to contact any of these people by email. So like as and when. So I also think when is the US session happening? Possibly next week. We will let you know because the speakers have to be free. Some speakers were traveling this week, so they couldn't make it. But yeah, we'll have it sometime next week. But okay. So in the next couple of months, as you have more questions, you can feel free to write to any of us. Okay. Maybe we'll stop now if there aren't questions. So, I would like to thank all of you guys again.